Your Steve Jones Show podcast will start shortly. The Steve Jones Show podcast is sponsored by Brewers Outlet, your beverage supermarket on Reagan Street in Sunbury. Sports talk where your voice counts. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. Now, from the Sunbury Motors Studio, here's Steve Jones.
Good afternoon, everybody. It is the Steve Jones Show, officially the 10th anniversary of the show, and we continue the celebration today here on the Steve Jones Show. Matt Catrillo here with you. Steve will soon be there from the Sunbury Motors studio. Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf, and online at sunburymotors.com. Ford, Kia, Hyundai, lots of pre-owned inventory, excellent service department and sales staff. And it's all at Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf, and online at sunburymotors.com. And we got a loaded show to close out what's been a special week for the show. We got the King coming up in a few minutes to do our first set of college hoops picks before we return to the football next week with the Super Bowl, of course. We've got mystery guests at 3:35, 3:50, and 4:06 today. And then we got Bob Nightingale from USA Today at 4:35. So we got a lot going on. Give me a lot of fun. So we'll take a quick break in a sec before we bring the King in. But first, wanted to bring this along up. And Major League Baseball Players Association today has rejected the MLB's request for federal mediation in negotiation between the two parties over the new collective bargaining agreement. And now the move pretty much eliminates any chance for an on-time start to spring training. And some of the industry are now both fearing the March 31st opening day could be at risk if no resolution is reached by the end of this month. So this whole thing just continues for baseball, and it just continuing to put itself in a worse and worse image. We'll get into more of that today with Bob Nightingale at 4:35. Now, the next part of this is, real quick, before we go to break, Jim Harbaugh. I know I've been on him all week, but I do just have to hold this in there. Again, I don't have a problem with him going for an NFL job if he wants it, okay? I just have the problem with the way he's handled it in terms of the Michigan side of things. And the fact that Michigan is just welcoming him back just shows you what Michigan is. They'll take you if you're good, or they get you what you want. But then they don't want you when they don't get you what you want. That's how they are. They're just a front-rider type of school and fan base. So he tells the AD at Michigan, despite interviewing with the Vikings, he will be returning to the school. Asked if he wanted to be the head coach. AD says 100%. He says, okay, that's what I want to do, and this will not be a recurring theme every year. This will be a one-time thing. Of course it's a one-time thing, because you went into Minnesota thinking that they would just hand the job to you and you wouldn't have to work for it and ask questions about how you would fix the franchise. It's just like, can I just go vomit now? I don't know. All right, I'm all done now with ripping Jim Harbaugh for the time being. But we got to take a break because we have the King coming in next as we continue here on the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK, brought to you by Sunbury Motors and Brewers Outlet.
Party time, game time, or just fun time. Doesn't matter what time it is because it's Brewers Outlet time. The beverage supermarket has the area's largest beer selection. Imports, microbrews, ciders, and domestics. Pick from over 100 ice-cold 12-packs and dozens of 24-ounce singles. Soda, snacks, hot sauces, fresh roasted peanuts. Make it one-stop party shopping, and don't forget the pickle bar. So whatever you're celebrating or just doing it up, Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street, Sunbury wants to see you. And thank you for your years of patronage.
All right, today's show brought to you by Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street in Sunbury, the beverage supermarket. Imports, domestics, microbrews, the best selection of beer anywhere, wine coolers, water, soft drinks, snacks. They roast their peanuts fresh and hot every day. 6 great flavors of slushies. Pickle bar led by the barrels and the dills, indeed second to none. Start stocking up for the Super Bowl tonight. All right, big Super Bowl party coming up. And time now to bring in the party animal himself. It is the king.
Hey, what up?
Hey, great to hear from you.
Busy yesterday.
Dug out,
what do you
huh?
think about the Patriots? Brady and all that.
Oh, you have to understand when it's time. So
I think he's going to play again.
Nah, you know what? He's also 44. He's not 34. I think there's certain time where, like, the amount of time that you need in the cold tub and the hot tub gets longer and longer as the seasons go by.
I get that, but he's still a top 5 quarterback in the league. He's going to sit at home and watch these guys stumbling around the field and say, I could do that.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So, anyway, you should hear the Patriots fans. It's unbelievable. He didn't thank them enough.
Oh, stop.
A bunch of idiots, Well,
Just
anyway.
like Jim Harbaugh saying today, I'm committed to Michigan now. I'm here for as long as you want. Let me just go vomit.
Actually, that's not what he said. That's not what he said. He said he wouldn't pursue any NFL jobs. That doesn't mean they won't pursue him.
Yeah.
Harbaugh?
There's a way to say things. All right? And remember, Harbaugh's now 58.
I don't think he could coach in the NFL again.
To be honest with you, my big question with him was, you go through a 3 and like Brian Daboll when he got the Giants job. You know how long his interview was? 8 hours. Okay? Harbaugh spent about 3.5, 4 hours with the Vikings. You watch Jim in a press conference or an interview, he really struggles. Now, that may be because he's just not comfortable with it. But I can't imagine him interviewing with somebody for 3.5, 4 hours and not having that come out. I don't know.
So do you think the Giants pulled something on that coach?
The way I understand it is this, all right? And the Giants put out a timeline. The Giants' timeline doesn't match up with what Brian Flores is talking about.
And they also interviewed Leslie Frazier before him.
Right. They interviewed Leslie Frazier, a former head coach himself, was doing a great job as a defensive coordinator with the Rams. No, Raheem Morris is the Rams, but Leslie Frazier with the Bills, and so they interviewed him, and then when they got a hold of Daboll the second time, Daboll was packing to go to Miami to interview for the Dolphins. So it wasn't like he had this Zoom call with him and then he had the job the way it's being intimated. That was not how it played out. Right? Then he came in and then he did the 8-hour interview with the Giants. And then, and you got to remember, I mean, the GM came over from Buffalo. And the Maras were the one that got a hold of Flores because the Maras really liked Flores, but the GM was more familiar with Daboll and wanted him. I think that actually, believe it or not, makes some sense. And remember, this is a Giants organization that for 10 years, Jerry Reese was their general manager.
Yeah.
I mean, that's,
American, right?
Yeah. I mean, so it's like they're not sitting there like, hey,
Yeah, but I have to admit the Rooney Rule is stupid. It's just,
The Rooney Rule has really good intentions. But
the intention was good.
Yeah, the intention is right.
More like an
but like anything, there are unintended consequences with a lot of things you've got to think through. And now you do probably have some organizations saying, okay, we'll interview, pick name, right? We did it. We fulfilled it, right? And the person that goes in hoping because they want the job badly feels like they've been used. And I don't blame them for feeling that way at all. That's awful.
Right. I'm part of a poker game here. I'm part of a chess game. They need to make this play in order to hire him.
Right.
Yeah, that's
the
not
problem
right.
he's got is that the problem he has is that it sounded like you read the Giants' timeline and they put it out. It doesn't play out the way he said it did. All right. And the other part about the Broncos, if what John Elway says is accurate, they went to him. They flew to Providence. They met him at 7:30. They did everything he asked them to do.
Right. The thing is he's got somebody compared it to Kyrie Irving. Saying that Kyrie Irving was not getting vaccinated to back up all the workers who lost their jobs in New York because they didn't get vaccinated. But Kyrie Irving was still making half his salary, which was $15 million.
Yeah.
This guy makes nothing by doing this.
Yeah. Right. I understand. Look, he never should have been fired with the Dolphins.
That's all I'm saying. He doesn't benefit from
this. And I agree.
You got to look at it.
You got to look at it from smoke is fire. But I'll say this. He never should. And Matt and I said this the very first day. We're like, he got fired?
Yeah.
Because I thought he was doing not a good job. I thought he was doing a phenomenal job with Miami. I think he's a heck of a coach.
Well, they couldn't control him. They wanted full control over the coach, and if what he says is true. Now, you can't see Cleveland coach saying he threw a whole bunch of games. It's like, all right.
Yeah.
Well, we got some.
We got games.
Told him
we
to
have
throw
games
the final
to pick.
game, and he refused to do it. And the next day, he's fired.
Yeah.
The coaches and
you
players
knew
don't
something
throw
went
games.
down.
No.
He did too good of a job.
Yeah.
All
right, well, let's get to some college
games.
hoops. Yeah, here we go. So we got first one, Loyola Chicago at Missouri State. Let's start with Steve.
Loyola.
I got Loyola as well. How about you, King?
Oh, I love the backcourt of Missouri State. I got Missouri State.
Okay.
I don't know anything about them.
All right, now we go to some Big Ten action. Purdue at Northwestern. King.
Purdue.
Yeah, I like Purdue big. I think they take care of business on the road. I like this team a lot. Steve?
If Purdue can get a better handle on the defensive end, especially in the last 7 or 8 minutes of games, they're a team that is at minimum an Elite 8 team.
There you go. All right. Now we go to SEC play. LSU and Vandy tomorrow night. We go to the King.
LSU and Vandy? I thought it was
they played Tennessee last week. I think you meant to say Vandy.
No, I took it right off the end.
Was it? Oh, okay.
Well, so it's Vanderbilt?
Yeah.
Well, that changes my pick. Let's see. LSU.
I'm going with the Tigers, too. Steve.
It's so hard to pick for Will Wade. Who just,
that's true.
Me, in my opinion, shouldn't be coaching, but I'll pick LSU. They got more talent.
There you go. All right, now we go to
they're actually a good defensive team too. So
there you go. Now to Big 12 action. Baylor at OU. Steve.
I'm going to pick Baylor to win on the road. I know Baylor's been a little up and down lately. I'm going to say that Baylor's on the upswing here.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to go with the Bears. I think they take care of business on the road. King?
I love the Sooners in this game. I love the big man play.
Yep.
Actually, I follow Baylor a little bit. You're number one in the country, and then you lose 2 home games at home. in a row.
Yeah, crazy.
That's kind of weird to me. So I'm going to take Oklahoma.
Yep.
Yep. All right, now we go to some of the bigger games of the weekend. Wisconsin at Michigan State after they take on Penn State tomorrow. Steve.
What are they playing Sunday? When do they play? When does Michigan State play Wisconsin?
I don't have that written down. Let me check real quick.
I mean, because Penn State plays them tomorrow night.
Right.
So they're not playing Sunday, I can tell you that, unless this game's Tuesday.
Yeah, I think this might be Tuesday.
I just went to the top 25 matchups, so maybe it's later in the week.
Okay. All right. Where's
maybe
the game? The game's what?
Obviously Vanderbilt's playing. I didn't see their name.
Yeah, this is Tuesday night. This is Tuesday night at 7 on BTN.
Tuesday night, 7,
yeah.
BTN. Well, they've already played in Madison, and Michigan State beat them. So I'm going to say that it'll be in East Lansing, Michigan State again. And they're playing Tuesday at 6.
Yeah.
Tuesday at 6 because we're the 9 o'clock game that night.
There you go. All right. I'm taking Michigan State as well. I can never figure out Wisconsin, but I think Michigan State will benefit playing at home. So I'm going to go with the Spartans. King?
Wisconsin, because they're number 8, Michigan State's number 14.
There we go, the chalk pick.
Well, yeah, I'll see him tomorrow night in person.
Well,
I got to fly
love
there
Michigan
tonight.
State. I really do. I love the coach. I love his enthusiasm. But yeah, I think he's fighting them through games right now.
Well, you know what, Kev?
I got a feeling Wisconsin's going to get this one.
Michigan State over the years has usually had 1 or 2 guys that you felt were NBA guys, and I've already seen Michigan State in person. They don't have, in my opinion, they don't have an NBA guy on the team.
Yeah, and that's the feeling I got. I don't follow it that close, but I watch body language. He fights his team to win, and sometimes he can't, and they win a lot of close games. So
yeah, well, that's what Wisconsin does. Wisconsin is 7-1 in games decided by 5 points or less.
All right, and then finally we got Auburn and Kentucky, and a game I can't wait to watch. King.
Auburn.
I'm going with Auburn as well in a close game. Kentucky's playing better, but I don't think they're quite there yet. Steve.
Games at Rupp, Kentucky.
As much as I love the Michigan State coach, I despise the Kentucky coach.
John Calipari.
Calipari cannot lose enough basketball games in my lifetime. And you'll find out somewhere along the line, everything he's been doing at Kentucky's been under the table.
Clarion grad, by the way.
You what?
Graduated from Clarion, where I went to school. Clarion University, Northwest PA.
I'm sure they're proud. I'm sure the alumni office is proud of both of you.
They are, I'm sure. Thanks, King.
Okay.
Taking your calls at 800-795-9565. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. Now, from the Sunbury Motors Studio, here's Steve Jones.
The Today Show brought to you by Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street in Sunbury, the beverage supermarket. Imports, domestics, microbrews, best selection of beer anywhere. Wine coolers, water, soft drinks, snacks. They roast their peanuts fresh and hot every day. 6 great flavors of slushies. And the pickle bar, led by the barrels and the dills, indeed second to none. All at Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street in Sunbury, the beverage supermarket. And we're in the Sunbury Motors studio. Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors, Kia routes 11 and 15, Hummel's Wharf, and online at sunburymotors.com. I guess now it's mystery guests for the next hour here, so.
That's correct. We got number 1 on the line.
All right. And sign in, please.
Hi, Steve. I want to wish you a happy 10th anniversary. About 6 years ago, I sat in on one of your play-by-play classes at Penn State. So hopefully that gives it away.
Well, first of all, the first three words you said, Kenny gave it away. There's only one voice, right? I know you're getting ready to do the Olympics, but thanks so much. And, yeah, you did. As a matter of fact, your daughter, I think, was the one that was observing at that time. It was great to have you there.
She was, and I was happy to tag along.
Yeah, it was great to have you there. I should have had you teach the thing. They would have learned a lot more.
I don't know about that.
I have to ask you now, with this being out of Stanford, that you'll have to do Olympic coverage. When you've had that spot, and I've had to do that for basketball, amazingly not for football, but for basketball, I had to do it last year. What's that like for you calling it when you're doing it off monitors?
Well, over the last 2 years, I've had to do many, many hockey games off monitors, probably around 50 over the last couple of years. Not as many basketball games, maybe 10 or 15 last year. As you know, it is a lot different. I think you could see about 85% of what you would normally see if you were in the arena. As I'm sure you would agree, you would much rather be in the arena. But if we have to do it this way, I don't think it's as bad as most of us expected. In hockey, for example, you might miss some of the penalties being called back behind the play. You may not see when the goaltender's pulled initially. But for the most part, you have a really good view of the game. Now, I did work yesterday, the U.S.-Finland women's game, and I'm not sure if you saw any of the game or your listeners at all, but the jersey numbers were a little bit challenging. The United States had white jerseys with white numbers in outlined by a little bit of blue. We got used to it, as the game moves along. The other thing is we don't have the opportunity to watch warm-ups, which is when normally you get acclimated with the jerseys, with the numbers. Canada, I didn't work their game 2 nights ago, but I thought John Walton did a terrific job, even though they had dark jerseys with red numbers. So I think that's the biggest challenge. Some of the teams, depending on the jerseys they're wearing in a particular game, definitely a little bit different than if you were actually in the arena.
Do you have multiple monitors in front of you, or do you have a monitor with multiple views?
It's basically a monitor with a single view.
Okay, gotcha.
It's the game camera. We take the world feed from Beijing in this case. We do have a second monitor, which is for graphics and different packages that we might show. But as far as calling the game, it's basically one monitor and one view, and it's pretty much the same thing that the viewers are seeing at home. But I thought overall it went very well yesterday. It was a nice win for the U.S. Unfortunately, they lost one of their top forwards, Brianna Decker, to a leg injury. And they'll play the Russian Olympic Committee team tomorrow and then Switzerland on Sunday. So looking forward to those next couple of games.
Because I know when I did basketball, we had the option of one view like you, or I could switch it over and I could get 4 screens on one monitor. That's why I asked the question, because we actually had those options.
When I worked Knicks games, road games last season off the monitor with Walt Clyde Frazier, we had a huge monitor at MSG Network at the studio. It was basically the size of the entire wall to watch the game. And then we did have a second monitor for those games with sort of an overall view of the court, what they would call the All-22 in football.
Right.
Probably didn't use it too often, but I would glance over once in a while. But we actually called the game off a huge monitor, which was basically the feed that the folks would see at home watching the game.
Because how this is being done, does that still allow you now to do your other work during the Olympics? Can you still do a TNT hockey game if you want and so forth?
A little bit, yes. I will sneak away to work a TNT game next Wednesday in Dallas. The Turner folks were nice enough to allow me to miss a game the following week in order to work the women's gold medal hockey game. So it'll be a combination of both. And one Knicks game as well out of the studio on February 12th during the Olympics. So that obviously would not be the case if we were in Beijing.
For you, what's the moving over to Turner? Now Eddie's there, obviously. What's it been like moving over to Turner and how they approach hockey?
It's been great. Eddie and Keith Jones, who I worked with for many years.
Yep.
I've known Jonesy for about 30 years since our days together in the American Hockey League. And a lot of the production people are folks that I've worked with for many years as well. So from that standpoint, it's been great. I love what Turner's done with the pregame show, with the personalities. whether it's Wayne Gretzky or Paul Bissonnette, Anson Carter, and Rick Tocchet, and host Liam McHugh, who does a terrific job. And they're definitely trying new things, interviewing players on the ice during pregame warm-ups, but doing the interview from the studio. So all the guys get to ask a question, some of the postgame interviews they've done. So it's been a lot of fun.
Hey, thanks so much for doing this. This was really, really nice. With 1,000 things going on, you took the time to do this. That was really cool. Thanks so much, and tell Benny Boma I said hi.
I will. It's a big month for him. He's Mr. Big Event with the Pro Bowl, the NHL All-Star Game, the Olympics, the Super Bowl. So he's all over North America. I hear you're heading out to Wisconsin later today?
Yep, Wisconsin later today. Got a game tomorrow at 6, then back here on Tuesday for a home game, and then back to Minnesota next week.
All right, well, enjoy Madison. I was just there last week. My daughter's a freshman there.
So
cool. I've spent a lot of time there over the last couple of months. But happy 10th anniversary, and I'm sure we'll talk to you again soon.
Can't wait. Ken, thanks so much, Kenny. Appreciate you very much.
Okay, thanks, Steve.
Kenny Albert. Oh, that was nice. Well, he's got 1,000 things going on right now, and he takes a couple minutes to do that. That was really nice.
That is definitely the definition of that. I'm really, really appreciative that he was able to squeeze us into his window. He's in the middle of travel, too.
He's just a good guy.
He
and
is.
a great pro. He can do anything. I've seen him do basketball. He's great. I've seen him do hockey. He's great. I've seen him do football. He's great. You guys probably have not seen him do as much baseball, but I've seen him do baseball on Fox. He's great. Everything he does, he's great. He's just great at it. And just is a down-to-earth guy. As you can hear, he's a down-to-earth guy. He's just a really terrific pro. Does everything well. When you opened the show, were you griping about anything? Or I mean, today, by the way, is the 4th anniversary of Philly Special.
That is. I've been reliving those memories today.
You didn't know until I said it.
No, I knew that. I genuinely knew that. I've been watching stuff all day when I've had the sick. Of course, I will never forget February 4th.
It was a game. Okay, how can you watch stuff all day? Like after a while, like the game's over.
Well, you watch the game highlights. You watch like the reaction and the different moments. It brings it all back. So there you go.
You know, I mean, the Giants, we'd be there for like several days watching their highlights. I mean, let me put this in context for you. The Eagles have as many Super Bowls as the Jets.
Yeah, but at least the Eagles just came in this century. At least we have that.
They have as many Super Bowl wins as the Jets.
I get it.
But 4 years ago today. See, and Doug Peterson got hired with the Jacksonville Jaguars. This is after Byron Leftwich pulled out. And did you hear Tiki Barber today?
No.
But that is Wednesday, Tiki Barber. Now, he's doing the show, I don't know, is it called Tiki and Tierney?
Yeah, it's the CBS Sports Radio show in the morning, I think.
Yeah, but they do it at WFAN, I guess. So he says WFAN can't hide the fact that not many minorities have held these seats. But I'm also not willing to scream and yell that a Giants organization I revere is racist. You want me to turn my pulpit into a bully pulpit, but I don't believe in alleging things that I don't believe are true. You might not think that I'm not fulfilling what a black guy in a host seat should do, but I can't speak to something I don't believe. He cited the story about Wellington Mara. He said Wellington Mara passed away in 2005. It was one of the most emotional. It was like, it hurt me. Wellington Mara, who brought me to the Giants, passed away, and we knew it was going to happen. When Wellington Mara passed away, Ronnie Barnes called me and said, the Maras would like you to come up to Westchester so you can say goodbye to Mr. Mara. So it was our day off. I remember this. I get emotional when I think about it because why me, right? I get to their house in Westchester. Jeremy Shockey is leaving because Wellington loved Jeremy Shockey as well. And Shockey says to me, They're all in there. And I'm like, who? He says, the whole family's in there. I went to his bedside, and I just tell him, thank you for making me a giant. You know, the fact that the Maras and I always said that this was, said this with the Tishes as well. They embraced me like I was family. I know them intimately. So when I say I don't believe they're racist, it's because I know they're not. He says, maybe they don't have the right head coach. He says, but I just thought it was interesting he made that statement. And again, I think Brian Flores is a heck of a coach. I mean, to me, Jim Caldwell should be a head coach somewhere. I think Leslie Frazier deserves another shot. Raheem Morris has put himself in a position. I guess Eric Bieniemy is going to be interviewing with the Saints. I think we all think he deserves a shot. Let's take a young guy like Zach Taylor. Is Zach Taylor a genius with the Cincinnati Bengals? When he didn't have Joe Burrow, he won 2 games. He gets Joe Burrow, he's in the Super Bowl. Again, that cornerstone. Do you have that cornerstone to start with? And then build around the cornerstone. And that's something we outlined yesterday. How there's some people along the way that haven't had that and have had to fight and scratch because they didn't have the cornerstone guy. And others haven't because they got fortunate. Pete Carroll got fortunate. In the 3rd round, they got Russell Wilson. Okay. Mike Tomlin got fortunate. He steps in. He's got Ben Roethlisberger. Hey, so, it works, a lot of different ways. That's why you and I look at Brian Flores. He had Ryan Fitzpatrick, who's okay, and he's got Tua, who's below at least at this moment in his career, is below the Mendoza line. Sean McDermott's got Josh Allen. It's always a great place to start when you have that guy. Belichick's done an awesome job almost everywhere he's gone. But when he was the Giants' defensive coordinator, his cornerstone guy was a guy named Lawrence Taylor, and they built from there. With the Patriots, it was Brady. It goes back to the old story I've told many times. I was doing the talk show one night, the Thursday night show, in the old conference room adjacent to the coach's locker room at Penn State. And we're in a break, and all these plays were up on the whiteboard. They had whiteboards like on one side and then whiteboards down on the other side. And I'm just sitting there, and Joe says and he grabs a magic marker, and he says, Steve, let me tell you the success of this play. He shows me the play. He said, I want to know the name associated with that circle. I want to know the name associated with that X. When I know the names, I'll tell you what kind of chance we have at success in that play. There are a lot of smart coaches out there that have a lot of great schemes. And if you got the right circle or you have the right X, you can make it happen for you. All right. Come back, more in a moment. I guess we have, a brief mystery guest?
Correct.
What if it's somebody I really want to talk to a lot?
Well, then we'll keep it going.
No, I'm just kidding. Back with more in a moment here on News Radio 1070 WKOK. All right, today's show is brought to you by our good friends at Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street in Sunbury, the beverage supermarket, imports, domestics, microbrews, best selection of beer anywhere, wine coolers, lots of water, soft drinks, lots of snacks. They roast their peanuts fresh and out every day. 6 great flavors of slushies, and the pickle bar led by the barrels and the dills, indeed second to none. All right, so the next mystery guest.
Stefano, love the show, long-time listener, third-time caller, your former 3-year producer, Shawn Carey, signing in.
Oh, my almighty!
Well, first of all, how's your foot?
Foot's doing better. For those who don't know, I had to have foot surgery back on November 1st. I had a triple arthrodesis. So I had a little hitch in the giddy-up. It's kind of the equivalent of having 2 flat tires on the same side of the car. So the good news is I've been doing 3 or 4 hours a day wearing a sneaker, 3 or 4 hours a day wearing an air cast. Got permission to drive yesterday, so physical therapy has been going great, and I've actually been off work since November 1st, so I've been chomping at the bit to get. So I'm the complete opposite of Kenny Albert. I had nothing to do today, and I said, Matt, whatever time you need me, I'll call you. But I look forward to getting back into. I look forward to getting back to my usual stuff next week, which I've missed a lot. So.
Well, the operating with 2 flat tires on one side of the car really was like me working the first 4 years of the show. That was a different.
Get the lingerie on the deck. Call the janitor.
I couldn't resist, Matt. I couldn't resist. I know you wanted me to hold back. I couldn't.
I emphasize third-time caller because I did call in 2 times before starting producer stuff. Yeah, the day that Monet Davis twirled that great mid-afternoon August gem at Lamade Stadium at the Little League World Series. So that actually is officially my 3rd time calling it. So.
Well, you did fabulous work here. You know how much I thoroughly and completely enjoyed working with you. This is as fine a professional as there is in professional radio. He's just a really good guy. But he's also another guy where how calm I am drove him nuts.
Nah, I think he only drove me nuts the first 6 months, and at that point, it's like, nah, we're fine, we're good.
Kevin and I had this discussion with him yesterday.
But the great thing is, it's like what makes the show great. It's a small town show, but it's got a big market sound, and that was the goal that Roger hadn't had when this whole came to fruition 10 years ago, and started with Roger, and then to Drew, and of course.
Drew. I got to give Drew Kelly. And you know what? I want to just mention one other thing. Drew Kelly definitely deserves a lot of credit. I haven't mentioned Drew's name. Should have. And the other guy, too, even though, look, okay, he's at the bookend at the front of the day. Mark Lawrence is just a great guy to be around and work and have on the staff. And he and I have just had a great time as friends over the years. So I want to make sure Mark's name got in there, too, as well as Drew. It was just a friggin' riot to be around.
Oh, if I had $1 for every time Lawrence would say to me, "Hey, buddy," in the hallway, I miss that. Miss you. I hope you and Kathy are doing well. And of course, you just became grandparents again. 6 months ago with Megan and Andrew's little boy Lincoln.
Yes, Lincoln. Yep, I'm going to see them in 2 weeks.
Good.
I've got a game down in Maryland, so I'm going to see Megan and Andrew and Lincoln, and see Chris and Angela. So yeah. It's going to be great. I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome.
Miss you a lot, buddy. Miss you a lot. Matt's doing an awesome job, by the way, which you're not surprised, because, you left for the reason he left was it's a long drive back and forth, so he took a job someplace that was just more closer to his neighborhood. That's the only reason he left.
The funny part is it's closer to me, but where I'm working at now, I still drive the furthest compared to anyone else in the building.
Of course, naturally. It's always been your pattern. I love you. I love you. You're the greatest.
Let's see.
Shawn, thank you.
Happy 10th and many, many more.
Thank you. Appreciate it, my friend. Important part of this show. Shawn Carey. Phenomenal work. Great working with him. Yeah, that was the thing. After 6 months, he goes, "Okay, I think I got it. We don't have to panic." I said, "Shawn, everything's okay. Don't worry about it." I said, "If something doesn't work out, I'll just fill it. It's all right." I said, "I got a big mouth." I said, "It's okay."
Well, I owe a lot of credit to SC, too. He's been a big part of my early success here on the show. So
you've been
props to
great.
him.
You've been awesome. All right.